Okay, so we're looking at XBI here, and I'm going to zoom out here for a second so we can get a bigger picture perspective. And what you'll notice is that XBI put in a major peak in 2021, hit this fib extension target zone, and then went into a year and a half corrective phase that brought it to a test, actually a slight break of the COVID low. So you can see here in June of 2022, came down and tested the COVID low here and actually made a very, very slight break of it. And then it's gone into this incredibly choppy period. So I went into a choppy period. I'm going to zoom in so we can look at this closer. And I went into a choppy period for about, almost 2 years before there were some positive changes to the pattern structures that occurred in the last intermediate cycle. So we had this very, very choppy period over the last couple of years. And then this last intermediate cycle, you can see where the low form reversal scout turns up, and we pushed through that 78.6, which is always a warning to us of a structural change in the pattern. And then not only did it do that, it continued. You can see that our team overlaid a minor cycle in February, which was very helpful because then it turned up again, and we broke out through this multi-year resistance, which were multiple cycle peaks, shifting this pattern structure positive. We then got stuck around the 38.2 of the major. So if you take the anchor point from the 2021 high down to this November or late October, November low, you do a draw of that, this would be the 38, near the 38.2 of the major. So that's where the resistance came in. We pulled back. That pullback came into a typical support zone, which was in between about the 50% and the 61.8. And then we made a new cycle low. And where are we now? Well, we're inside of a new rising phase. We have the weekly reversal scout here, which is positive. And this week in particular, we've had a very strong advance. And this advance has now, or unless something dramatic happens in the next few hours, we're going to close above the 61.8 on a weekly basis. And also we've pushed through the intermediate 78.6, really suggesting that this rising phase is still intact and likely to see higher prices as we go. So that's what we have on the weekly chart. I'm going to pull over the multiple time frame analysis here so we can zoom in a little bit closer on some of the price action. So on the left is the weekly again, and on the right is the daily chart. And on the weekly here, what we're going to focus on are the last couple cycles, which have translated and configured positively. And you can see that there have been multiple cycle breakouts, positive breakouts that have occurred over the last 2 cycles. We had one here, and then we had one here recently, just this week, exploded higher as it made a new cycle low. So we got above that intermediate 78.6, and you can see how the slim ribbon is really almost in a parabolic kind of move to the upside here, which is likely going to fan out, and it should serve as some good support if there was a pullback. Now, the slim ribbon is going to be dynamic, so it's going to move as price and each day goes on, and you'll see it rise. So it's rising right now. So that would be an area to watch for some support. Also, I'll show on the 2-hour chart. So the positive price action, obviously on the daily. So combining that with the positive cycle structure patterns on the weekly with positive momentum, some of the evidence suggests that there's an opportunity for some further upside. And what I'm looking for here is this target zone, projection zone here, which includes an intermediate 61.8 fib extension, which is right around 105.50 to 105.75. And then a more aggressive might take a few weeks longer. So this is a 4 to 8 week outlook, and that could be up near 112.35, which would be the 78.6, intermediate 78.6 fib extension. So those are the upside projections based on the current patterns, momentum, cycle timing. And then we have our reevaluation. What are we going to look for? So we had a cycle low support right here that formed. This would be my warning that if we broke through that, I would have to reevaluate the upside projections. And if there was a close below the 61.8, that would negate the bullish bias, neutralize this overall pattern, and open the door for some new downside risk. Likely the reversal scout would roll over, and we would probably have a intermediate peak. So those are the areas to watch for that would shift this overall more positive analysis right now. In terms of entry opportunities, what do you look for? Well, it has made a significant move. When I started to look at it, it wasn't this advanced. However, there'll likely be some pullbacks. I would be watching the 2-hour slim ribbon. And then also, as I mentioned, I'd be watching the daily slim ribbon. We have several indicators that we focus on that can help us when there are very strong trending markets, and that's why we use multiple time frames. If you have an interest in learning more about that, you can reach out to me, and I'll be talking about this in just a minute because there will be some opportunities to participate at level 4 where you get direct access to these types of grids that we set up for you. That's the overall analysis in XBI.